I call this meeting of the Hurst-Euless-Bedford Independent School District to order, that the record showed that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. It's great to see such a big crowd out here on a Dallas Cowboys football night, so thank you all for being here. We're going to start with an invocation by Todd Campbell from the First Baptist Church, Hearst, River Trails campus.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to meet this evening, for your goodness in our lives, for life and breath and all the blessings that we share. And Lord, we thank you for the school district, for this board, for all of our employees, teachers, coaches, students, and families. And we just ask that you would bless them abundantly. And God, in this broken world, we ask and pray for all of our teachers and students that they would feel loved and valued and nurtured. Pray for their safety and protection. Pray for successful outcomes in and out of the classroom this year. For tonight, for this board, we ask that you would give them guidance and courage, wisdom, that you would breathe life into their ideas and decisions, and that you would remove all distractions that could be here. Lord, we love you, and we just thank you for your goodness, and we pray this in the powerful name of your Son. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. All right, next we're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance by Peyton Pham and Hannah Coffey from Arbor Creek Elementary School. You guys can come right up here. American flag's over here and the Texas flag's back there, so just get it started whenever you want.
This way, guys.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Hey, thank you two so much. Great job. If you can stay right up here, guys. We got something for you. And I'm sure there's going to be some people who want to take pictures of you. So parents, feel free to come in the middle if you want to get a picture.
Come on up.
All right, this one's for Peyton.
So Peyton is a fourth grader who demonstrates great character across the campus, a leader in his grade level, and strives to do his best each day.
And Hannah.
Hannah is also a fourth grader who is a great example of spreading cardinal kindness and helping others. Her hard work and dedication at Arbor Creek is a great example for others.
Thank you, you two. Tonight, the Board of Trustees is meeting in its regularly scheduled monthly meeting to officially act on items included on the posted agenda. The board welcomes and appreciates comments and input from the community. Open forum is provided at each meeting to allow the public to address the board. There will be two open forums tonight. Open forum number 1 is to hear requests regarding agenda items only. Open forum number 2 is to hear requests or make comments regarding non-agenda items and will be heard at the end of the meeting. Those addressing the board are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes per meeting. The speaker should identify his or her name, group affiliation, if any, and make a brief presentation with an identified solution if one is sought. Remarks should be addressed to the board as a whole. Oral presentations may not include any charges against any employee or board member by name. It is my responsibility to determine if the person addressing the board has attempted to resolve a concern informally or through the district's complaint policies. If not, the speaker will be directed to follow the appropriate policy. The board requests that all presentations be made in a courteous, respectful, and professional manner and asks that speakers monitor their own behavior. If you wish to speak during one of the open forums, please fill out one of the cards located on the table in the entry hall. Again, good evening, everybody. I'd like to take just a couple points of privilege. First, I'd like to thank Board Vice President Rochelle Ross. I wasn't actually supposed to be here tonight. I was supposed to be in Florida, but because of the pending weather, my plans got changed, but she showed up for all the planning meetings and was ready to go tonight if needed, so I appreciate her doing all that extra work, and sorry you didn't get to run the meeting.
I know,
but,
it's okay.
Second, I'd like to congratulate Board Secretary Julie Cole, who was just elected as a TASB director, which is a very big deal. There's a very limited number of directors throughout the state who help, I guess, govern TASB as an institution, which is the Texas Association of School Boards. So I know it's something she's worked really hard for, and can't think of anyone who's more qualified to hold that position. So congratulations on that. And finally, I'd like to wish a happy birthday to our superintendent, Dr. Joe Harrington. So,
No place I'd rather be.
all right, Dr. Harrington, any superintendent comments?
Just a couple. I just wanted to thank Stacy Force and our counseling department. We had college night last Monday. They had over 60 colleges there. They said there were over 600 students attended college night. They got great feedback, and a couple of them, I just said, your students came prepared with their barcodes more than any place we've been. So the reps were happy, and so I'm excited. We had a great college, and they're working on even more schools for next year, so we're excited about that. This Thursday, just an event that I wanted to mention, our Heb Band Bash. All of our junior high bands and high school bands will be performing Thursday, 7 o'clock at Pennington, so mark that down. And both football teams have a bye this week, so I just want to shout out to the volleyball. We have the Bell Trinity volleyball game at Bell, 6:30 Friday night. So I just wanted to point those out.
All right, any required clarifications?
The one clarification, we had a question about the hazardous routes, and so Brian Merchant in Transportation is creating a document, so I can share that with our city leaders so that they are aware of those routes and why we deem them hazardous.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to review the board activity chart. Mr. Campos?
It's been a busy month. In reverse order, I think the chamber did a great job, as they do every year. I attended and actually found a cowboy hat, the honky tonk, on Saturday. Hats off. I always enjoy the PTA luncheon. And
It was just funny that you talked about getting a hat and then taking it off.
there you go. There you go. Also, too, last year I attended the Leeds HEB that we do here in HEB 1, and this year I've started Leeds 2. Just amazing the amount of growth that we do in district, and learned a lot about HR, and certainly getting to cheer some great up-and-coming teachers that are taking it to the next level for their future growth here in HEB. That's always just neat to see. It's wonderful.
All right, thank you. Ms. Cole?
So I wanted to talk about LEAD as well, but I've been attending most sessions for several years now, but LEAD HEB Year 1 this year was all about leadership and the price of leadership, because that's the first group and their first session. And Mr. Streeter did a fantastic job with that session, leading that evening. And I highly recommend to the other board members that next year you attend Mr. Streeter's session on leadership, because it was fantastic. And then, of course, this past weekend, several of us attended the TASB conference and learned so many great things that I can't wait to, implement, and things that we can be watching for throughout the year.
Ms. Ross?
So I did my second Trojan talk. For those of you that know me, I'm scared to death of high school kids. So I got through my second one and hoping to get better each time. I was invited by Viridian Elementary, their PTA, to go and speak about why the parents that showed up, why it's important to join your PTAs and to get involved. And so they had a really great crowd. They had a resource fair afterwards. It was very well attended and very well put together. So thank you to Viridian for inviting me. I also attended the Hurst-Euless Tailgate party last week, so thank you to Miss Donahoe and Hurst-Euless. Everyone for inviting me. Miss Clark and I went, Darla Clark and I went. We had they had the In-N-Out burger truck up there, and they had a bicycle rodeo with the Hearst police, and think tank out there, and it was packed with parents and kids, and I just love that. They were running around just screaming their heads off. One of my favorite places to be when kids are just screaming and having a good time. So thank you to Hurst-Euless for the invitation. And then, attended TASA TASB this weekend, and for me, the highlight was delegate assembly. I always enjoy that. Ms. Jordan Wells and I attended, and I was chosen as one of the 4 people to credential, so that was a good pick and quite a privilege to be chosen to do that for delegate assembly.
Ms. Dawn Jordan Wells.
All right, I attended the TASA TASB convention in San Antonio as well. Fred and I are the Advocacy Gold Team champions, and I attended a couple of sessions regarding advocacy, got some really good information that we will share at our next board meeting. And as Rochelle mentioned, got to be the delegate this year for during the delegate assembly, and got to vote on some really good, important things. So it was really good to take care of the business of the association.
Yeah, I also attended TASA TASB, so it was a really great convention this year. And I also, one thing that has been mentioned is I got to attend with Dr. Harrington, the HEB Economic Development meeting here recently, which is something they do quarterly. And it's always great to see what's going on in the cities, and they want to hear from us and know what's going on in the district, because that's how we attract new businesses and new growth to this area, is by the cities and the school district working together. They don't operate without each other. So thank you, board. Let's see.
Matt?
Can I go ahead.
Alex,
Okay.
for once.
All right.
Usually I
Sorry,
don't
Mr.
talk because they enjoy talking about hats and all that other things we go to. But in the district, the retired teachers of the district used to have burgers for books. And they sold hamburgers to the teachers, and the money they made off those hamburgers, they gave to they bought books for all our elementary libraries. Well, during COVID, they got the hamburgers from Outback, and the price of meat shot up and everything else shot up. So they weren't making very much money off the hamburgers. So we tried to put together or think of something to do besides burgers for books. So for a year now, we've been meeting with Jerry Longwell, he belongs to retired teachers, and Tom Bresnahan, who he and I actually started the craft fair at Trinity, so he knows all the ins and outs. And what we've been working on is really having a district-wide garage sale, which has 2 facets. And we've talked, I know Mr. Chapman knew about it, but I'm not sure Mr. Harrington knows. We've talked to Pennington, and we've talked to the head of the PTA, Heather Perry. And what we're doing is we're going to have it at Pennington, and you can actually buy 2 parking places for $25 and sell anything you want to, your lawnmowers, your dishes, or whatever. It does 2 things. One, that $25 goes to the retired teachers, and they will buy the books to go to the library. So there's no money made by anybody. Actually, the books will go directly to those schools. Now, the good thing that comes out of this, if you're like the cheerleaders at Bell, you can have your garage sale and make money to offset some of the costs for cheerleading, or student council, or PTA. So we're going to have a district-wide garage sale sometime in April or May. We're going to have 2 dates in case it rains. We're going to try to have some food trucks and maybe some crafters there, and all that money goes back to our elementary, besides helping the different organizations at each of the schools, which I know at Trinity, we sold snow cones at lunch, and each organization would sign up for a week, and they'd make about $400. And what's amazing, those clubs at Thanksgiving would buy food for the needy, and at Christmas they'd buy toys for the kids. So that goes back to the community. So we've been working on this for about a year. We're going to try to get it started this May, and so I've been to many meetings. We tried to have it last year, but that COVID kind of got in the way. So that's what I've been doing, and you won't hear from me for another 6 months.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cargile. Sounds like a great project. All right, at this time, we're going to talk to our student ambassadors. I'd like to say a quick thanks to our greeters this evening. You may have noticed 2 students in green blazers as you entered tonight. These students are part of the HEB ISD Student Ambassador Program, which is a select group of students chosen through an application and interview process to be the face of the district. They are trained to assist with public relations and communications services and are given the opportunity to positively promote HEB ISD while developing leadership skills. Tonight we have Sabrina Shrestha, a senior at Trinity High School, and Giselle Ransom, a junior at LD Bell. We've been using this opportunity to hear the voice of our district students by asking the ambassadors the questions. And this month, the question will be asked by Don Jordan Wells.
Hello. Who's going to go first? You're going to go first? Awesome. What are your 3 goals for this school year as a student ambassador?
Well, I would say we have definitely been impacted heavily by COVID, and we just really need to get back into the groove of things. So my first goal would definitely be just increasing participation overall with students, just getting them more motivated and engaged and actually participating. My second goal would actually just be knowing more faces of the district, and convocation was definitely a first step for me, and I want to continue just growing and just learning all the different cultures, languages, and everything, all the diversity that makes up HEB. And then my last goal would just be becoming a role model for the little kids that don't have anyone to look up to, and really just showing them what hard work really comes to, it really comes on top and really just produces the most success in life, and just how it will always come up on top.
Hello, everyone. To add on to everything that Giselle mentioned before, one of the first things that came to mind upon hearing the question was the concept of leadership. Personally, one of my biggest goals or aspirations is to leave the Student Ambassador Program knowing that I've grown or evolved in some ways, especially in the area of leadership, not only because that's an area I know I can improve on, but also because I'm aware of the fact that if I put in the effort to strengthen those leadership skills now, it will have far-reaching implications later on in life. My second goal is more of an extension of the first one, in that I hope to get to work with prospective HEB families hands-on throughout the year. And lastly, I hope to play a more active role in representing this district and all the diversity that comes with it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina and Giselle. We appreciate your answers. And we appreciate you being here tonight. All right, next up, we're going to have a special presentation by Ms. Yan Hollander for Texas Trust Gives Foundation.
Yes, thank you. As you know, we have really focused on wellness this year, and it's the wellness in our staff and our students and one another. And so we had the opportunity, and I want to read you a little bit about the adopter that helped us out with our goal. Texas Trust Credit Union and the Texas Trust Gives Foundation awarded a grant to us to promote teacher wellness, care initiatives, and leadership training. It was a $3,000 grant that was used to purchase copies of a book, and it's the Gallup Wellbeing at Work book. We have used that. We used it during Leadership Symposium, and we're using it throughout the year with our employees. But this is going to be used to train as well as just kind of guide us to provide resources for our employees for wellness. So I'd like to invite Texas Trust up. We have Washima. Is it Hawk? Okay. Brittany Ward and Caitlin Lang. And so they are here. Now, did you want to say one word? Did someone? Okay.
Hello, thank you so much for having us here today. HEB is a very special community. When I started working for the credit union 5 years ago, I started here. And since then, we've expanded, started a foundation that does our charitable giving. So this was our first ever grant cycle. We awarded $65,000 to 9 school districts. And it's our first time partnering with HEB ISD, so we couldn't find a better way to do that than finding ways for teachers to increase morale, help students, and touch those hearts. And that's what we are here to do, touch hearts and change lives. So again, really excited to be here. Special working with HEB always. Thank you, and we hope to continue the partnership.
at this time, we will be passing out certificates of appreciation for donations that were made during the month of September. And Vice President Rochelle Ross will be reading those off.
Tonight, the grand total of donations is $8,085. So as always, we love to thank all of our donors because public education doesn't fund everything we need, and without our partners, it would be hard to do a lot of things we do. So thank you so much. The first one is presented by Board Member Fred Campos from Sarah Mann to ATPE, with ATPE to PR and marketing. It's a $500 donation, which will go towards the Better Together Employee Appreciation Program. And Miss Mann is here. Oh, with some other friends. Hi. Thank you all so much. The next certificate will be presented by Board Secretary Julie Cole, Dane Miner of Freeman Auto Group to South Euless Elementary. A $5,000 donation will go towards the purchase of new cafeteria tables and chairs. And Dane Miner is here, Maureen Sterling, who is the principal at South Euless, and Fatty Abdo will accept the certificate. That's amazing. Thank you all. The next certificate will be presented by Board Member Don Jordan Wells. It's from Uncommon Church to PR and Marketing. It is a $1,000 donation, which will go towards the Better Together Employee Appreciation Program, and Ms. Hollander with PR and Marketing will accept. The next certificate will be presented by Board Member Andy Cargile. It is from Teresa Poston to LD Bell Boys Basketball. It's a $1,000 donation, which will help offset uniform costs and other expenses. And a banner will also be provided in the gym and a logo on social media. And Mr. Belcher, principal of LD Bell, is here. The next certificate will be presented by Board Member Chris Brown from Barfield Children Family Trust to Shady Brook Elementary. It's a donation of $585, which will allow the purchase of a movie license to allow the school and extended day program to show movies for students, teachers, staff, parents, and other groups on campus throughout the 22-23 school year, like family movie night, after-school programs, and holiday events. Okay. Thank you all so much.
All right, thank you so much to all of our donors. We really appreciate every dollar counts, and we know we can't do it without you, so thank you so much. All right, so at this time, we're ready for open forum one. Nothing for open forum one. All right, then we will be adjourning to closed session, correct, Dr. Harrington? All right, so pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551, the board will adjourn to closed session pursuant to Section 551.071 to 551.074.
better. Okay.
knock my knee out.
Kick it on the knee. All right, at this time, the board is reconvening back into open session. Do we have any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Mr. Romero, can we remove the minutes from August 22nd? Just vote on those separately?
Yes, we can.
And Mr. Romero, I'd like to remove the minutes from September 12th.
All right, thank you. So we are removing items 9.02 and 9.03. I will accept a motion on the remaining consent agenda.
I move that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
All right, I have a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda minus items 9.02 and 9.03 as presented. Please vote.
It's going to be a second because she has to go in and remove those.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Julie for August 22nd.
And
And then Fred for September 12th.
who was the second on Julie?
Who seconded no. There was not a second to do that. It was a.
You don't have to
Oh, on the, because it's
to
consent,
remove.
you don't need the second. So you just need the motion.
To remove them? You don't need a motion to. I made the motion to approve the consent agenda. And Chris seconded it.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
And the consent agenda passes. We are ready for reports and presentations, and we're going to start off with the HEB ISD Education Foundation report.
Should we do the minutes separately?
That's
Oh,
an
it's
agenda
down for-
item.
I apologize.
HEB ISD Education Foundation report to the community. Mr. Collins.
Good evening. How is everybody?
Doing great, thank you.
We really appreciate y'all giving the foundation the opportunity to come before y'all and share some highlights. It is my honor to serve as chair another year for the foundation, and I am joined by several members of the Education Foundation Board, if y'all want to raise your hand. And Kelly O'Connell is with Project Partners, and she is with us this evening. Going off the script for just 1 second, I love the moment in the beginning of your meeting where you go around and talk about all the things that y'all are doing. I think to some of us that may not understand all of the workings of the school district, you might think that you only conduct your business when you're around this dais. Y'all are out in this community constantly supporting education in these kids, and it's just thank you for what you do very, very much. All right. First highlight is to tell you we had excellent board engagement this past year. The highlights that we're going to share with you simply aren't possible unless you've got a fully engaged board with a bunch of volunteers that share their special talents and contribute with their passion to all of the events. We had a really, really good superintendent circle of giving. During that year, there were monies that were contributed directly from the endowment in combination with some other private contributions to the tune of over $150,000. That was an increase to the endowment fund. We were looking back in the history of the foundation, and we think that that may have been the highest single-year increase to the endowment since, Gary Hamilton, started the foundation years ago. Just a reminder of who the board of directors are that are serving, just a really, really broad, diverse group of individuals. That really has been an effort on the part of the foundation to increase the diversity and allow that to be more representative of the community that the HEB school district serves. Obviously, it takes money to support the efforts and the programs that the foundation is engaged in, and each and every year we continue to have support from the individuals that you see identified on the screen. You just see the same names year in and year out that just continue to show their support for the foundation, and we are sincerely appreciative of that. And in addition to corporations, you also have individuals that are giving of their treasures to the foundation, some of whom are sitting on this dais this evening. We were fortunate to be able to participate in a celebration of Dr. Harrington and Steve Chapman during the Superintendent Circle of Giving kickoff celebration. Just a real special event to be a part of. Since 1995, with the support of the donors that we had identified on some of the previous slides, since the inception, there's almost $1.7 million that's been awarded in grants across the school district. The annual staff campaign is certainly something significant that we are involved in on an annual basis. I'm not going to read this slide with the figures that are in front of you. One note with the staff campaign, we're going to begin that opportunity to go on the campuses in October, and we've got a much stronger emphasis this year. Rather than actually directly soliciting monies from the teachers to make any contributions, we're simply going to have the opportunity to go on the campus to show them sincerely that we just love and support you. That's going to be the emphasis. That's going to be the goal. We learned a lot through the grant program this previous year that was virtually done entirely by the website and being able to access the grant applications directly online. We had the highest number of grant applications that we've ever received, and we think that that was very, very well received. We want to kind of learn some lessons from that perhaps could be applied to the staff campaign that we would normally do to go solicit directly from the teachers. Let's utilize that technology, give the opportunity for those that want to continue to contribute to do so. But the emphasis of the on-campus visits will be to coordinate through the principals directly on those campuses to say, how can we show that love and appreciation for the teachers? The Award of Excellence, personally one of my very, very favorite events that occur on an annual basis. We really got some positive feedback from the format that we conducted that event. You might recall that we had the sit-down dinners in previous years. Last year, we went to a little bit more informal process where we had a reception at the beginning, and then that enabled us to move very quickly into the actual recipients' acknowledgement of who the Award of Excellence were. We got out of there in less than an hour and a half which on a busy school night during the school year, the feedback that we got from the teachers, the students, the parents was really, really, really favorable, and still provided the opportunity, of course, to recognize the 33 outstanding seniors. Just a neat event. We got to participate again with the new professionals lunch, and we appreciate the opportunity that y'all provide the foundation to continue to be involved in that. I think, Dr. Harrington, there were over 300 new teachers that were hired into the school district that we got the opportunity to give them their first exposure to the foundation and tell them a little bit about why we're here to help support them and try to do things for them that will make their jobs easier. That wraps up my highlights. We really do appreciate the opportunity to come before y'all on an annual basis and share what some of those highlights are. Our board continues to be engaged, continues to be involved, continues to have passion for the foundation's work, and we could not do that without the Board of Trustees' support. So thank you for that support, and thank you for everything that y'all do.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. As always, we are extremely grateful for all the work that the HEB ISD Education Foundation does for this district. It's always great to get the year kicked off and see all of your faces there at convocation and get to talk to you. And then a couple days later, or even a couple days before that, I guess, we're at the new professionals luncheon and get to see you there with all that support. And then we always, like you said, one of my favorite events every year is the Award of Excellence. And I think it just helps to demonstrate the type of students that we try to have here in HEB, just very well-rounded, because you're not just talking about math, science, and English. You're also talking about CTE and music and choir. We look at the whole child and really get to honor kids who excel at all those areas. So thank you so much for what you do. All right, any questions on disbursements? Any questions on employments, resignations, and retirements? All right, we're ready for the APIB report. Ms. Harris.
Thank you. Good evening. Can I just advance it myself from here? Okay, great. I'm here to talk to you about the 22 AP and IB results. We'll start with AP. Everything in this presentation tonight will fall under goal number 1, student achievement, 1.4, college career military readiness. AP has one success measure, which is that the district's AP results will meet or exceed the global average in each content area. Here's some context for our AP exams in 2022. AP exams were administered in person this year. At school on a regular schedule the first 2 weeks in May, like in years past. It was lovely. The College Board, just so you know, did not mitigate AP exams in any way at any point during COVID for any learning loss. It's interesting to know that of the exams that we offer in HEB last spring, the global average score was below a 3. That's not passing. So it was a rough year in the world, but our scores improved. We had more 3s, 4s, and 5s than we had in 2021, and then obviously fewer 1s and 2s. 3s, 4s, and 5s are the passing scores. So we went from 51% passing to 60% passing. This is our 5-year trend. 2022 there on the right, we tend to have about 1,600 students testing. That number became kind of our standard in 2018 when we added AP Human Geography, and it increased our numbers. But you may notice we declined 30 students who were testing, but the students who tested took 1,000 more exams. So we had a very heavy testing season, and their passing scores, as I already said, went from 51% in 2021 to 60% in 2022. This is our comparison to the state and global. Our exam performance in HEB exceeded the state average in 69% of the courses offered, the global average in 48% of the courses offered. And then if you look at courses where 10 or more students were testing, 52% exceeded the global. That middle bullet is one of our success measures. I'll read it to you. 1.4D says the district's AP results will meet or exceed global average for each AP content area. So we were 48% of our individual courses were higher than the global. Here's a summary of some of the awards students earned. I won't read all of these to you. They're just simply said based on number of exams and scores on those exams. We increased by 33 students earning these awards from the College Board. Now we'll transition over to International Baccalaureate. Again, we're going to be under College Career Military Readiness. IB has 4 success measures. The first one has to do with passing exam scores. F has to do with exam scores compared to global. G has to do with diploma rate, and H has to do with participation. Here are our IB scholars from the class of 2022 from Bell and Trinity. For IB exams in 2022, here's a little context. So the IB, unlike College Board, did mitigate for the past 2 years for COVID learning loss. And they did that by, for example, if a particular exam usually has 3 papers, it might have had 2 papers this time. So they made some of the exams a little shorter. And also they adjusted the grade boundaries, which simply put allows students to do better with a score. But it's important to know that no adjustments are planning to be made for 2023 exams. IB has said that multiple times, so that's what we're expecting for this next spring, is no mitigation. This addresses one of our success measures as well. We have one that says that 90%, it's success measure 1.4E, 90% of IB exams will be passed with a 4 or above. So the orange bar is at 90. So you can see for the last few years that HEB students have been above that 90. So that success measure has been achieved. We have another one, 1.4F, that says the district's IB results will meet or exceed the global average for each content area. And we exceeded the global in 43% of our subjects. Here's our IB exam score distribution over the past 2 years. And remember in IB that 4, 5, 6, and 7 are considered passing. So
When did they add the 4? I must have missed that. What year did it go? It used to be just 5, 6, 7, didn't it?
no. Do we know a year for that? Sorry, Andy, I don't think so. Maybe you're thinking of, I don't know. It is 4, 5, 6, 7, yes, sir. No, sir. No. So, so we went from 94% passing in 2021 to 92% passing in 2022. This shows our district's diploma pass rate. This is another success measure, which says 1.4% of IB students earning the IB diploma will meet or exceed the world average. So you can see that our students did exceed the global average in the diploma passing rate. So that's the most important thing here. This is a line graph of our 10-year trend. The gray bar is global, and the green bar is HEB. So you'll see that typically the the diploma percentage is around 78 or 79%. And that's what the IB is saying we'll probably go back to. They're saying kind of be ready for that globally. So you can see in the green bar that since 2019, HEB has been above that global, and we ended with 90% diploma in HEB in 2022, and the global one was 86. Our numbers, though, have been declining. So class of 2022 had 101 students here in HEB. The two things. One, to put that in context, the vast majority of programs are in that 21 to 40 range. That 2022 column is number of schools. So you can see that the majority of schools are in that 21 to 40 candidates, followed by 11 to 20, followed by under 10. And then both Bell and Trinity fell last year in that 41 to 60 candidates. We're not pleased to fall there, but I think it does provide some useful context for us to look at. In addition, I'm always thankful to you all for your support for IB, because that both of these are snips from the IB statistical bulletin. The purple bar at the bottom shows you that about 57% of the world's IB schools are private schools. So this is this part where we're very thankful to say in HEB, these students are getting such a great education in a public school, because the minority of these programs are in public schools. So we're doing something really great here, and we're thankful for that. We do have the campuses have lots of strategies in place to increase the numbers, not only because it's a big investment for our district, it's just plain best for students to be in IB. It's just a phenomenal whole child approach to education. But on a very practical level, it's hard to schedule when you have very tiny program. And so they're hard at work. I have Bill Wells from Trinity, and then Nancy Shane from Bell had a class that she's in on Monday nights. So we are in texting communication with Nancy, but and then both principals are here for, just to be here to hear this report as well. So where we are right now in our 12th grade group, we have 95 students in the district. That's 6%. Our success measure says that we'll have 15% of our seniors in our IB program. And out of our junior class, we have 9% in the district, and our success measure says that we will have 20%. So those are the numbers that we're working toward and the strategies that the campuses have been rocking and rolling with. And that is my report. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Any questions?
So, Ms. Harris, do you
Yes.
think that we will reverse the trend in getting more interest in the IB candidate program?
Yes, but I think it's going to take two more years before we see those numbers get built back up. We have a lot of interest in the sophomore group, but we have to get past this small junior group and then get back up again. But we definitely anticipate growth again. IB is a very big commitment that involves all aspects of a student's life, and it was very difficult for students through COVID to maintain that dedication to the whole program. So now that we see health and everything else is moving in the right direction, we definitely foresee growth. We have some things we need to work through. We have some staffing concerns that we've definitely been in touch with leadership about.
Any other questions?
The way that this information has been presented previously has been a breakdown on campus level.
Right.
I assume you have that data.
Correct.
Is that something you could provide to us that Dr. Harrington could
Of
provide us in a
course.
Friday update?
That's the plan.
Okay. Do you also have information on the specific content areas? This is
Yes.
a percentage as a whole on the district, but I really would like to see
Yes.
where we're succeeding,
Yes, sir.
where we have some difficulties.
Yeah, you'll have that on Friday for sure.
Excellent. Thank you. And then we have done away with the AP qualifying test.
Correct.
Correct. Is that still the plan going forward?
It is, because what we've learned is that it didn't make very much difference. So we gave APQ, let me get to my notes for this information. We gave the APQT in fall and winter of 2020. spring, obviously, we didn't come back from spring break, so there was no way to give an APQT. Well, we can't give an APQT anymore because because we're on trimesters, and the College Board has made the ordering deadline for our students' first and second trimester groups. That ordering deadline is November 15th. So they're only if they start their AP course in the winter tri, they're not in there very long when the order is due. So there's no time to give an APQT there. In the courses where they have only one trimester, and that's in the spring, so that'll be European history, government, economics, they're only in there about 10 days. So there's just no opportunity to give an APQT on the trimester schedule. But what we saw is that it didn't make much difference.
Good. I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that. I support that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Harris.
All right, thank you.
All right, measures of academic progress. Dr. Norgard.
All right, we get to switch thinking a little bit here, moving into my first data report for the 22-23 school year. That was wrapping up last year's data, and now we are jumping into the data we're starting to collect on students this year and how we can appropriately plan for their interventions and their success. So in this report, this is interim data, of course, leading towards our end-of-year data, actually related to growth. And as we talked about accountability, how important growth is for all students. I'm not sure why that popped up that way. Some context I want to remind you of when we talk about MAP. MAP was brand new for us last year, and so we kind of talked about taking off one hat and putting on the others to remember that MAP is a norm referenced rather than criterion referenced. It's not about here's a specific goal we want everyone to attain. It's about figuring out where everybody is right now in relation to others in that grade, and then making individual goals for them of how they can each move forward. I love that I actually got to follow the Advanced Academics report, because what this allows, when we're on a criterion referenced, if I'm talking about a DBA, those high-performing students, they're all getting 100. How do I know where they grew? Because they just get 100% over and over and over. MAP does not have that ceiling, so this allows us both low floor, high ceiling is the phrase used, so that we can see our students, no matter where they fall, what is really their best instructional level so that everyone's getting the challenge they need. But it does mean we have to shift our thinking from how many students hit a certain mark. It's more about where each student's falling. So when I look at third grade reading, we look in these quintiles, the percentage band, so the more blue and green we see, the better. So these are, if you can see, in a national norm, you would expect 20% of your students to fall into each of those bands. So that should have been if the blue exactly lined up under that blue, the blue columns, but we've got more blue and more green. So this is how you want to consider this report, the more blue and green we have, because it would be totally normal distribution for all of those red, orange, yellow, green, and blue to be the same. So here is for fourth grade, how they are performing for us in reading this to start the beginning of year. We'll test them again middle and end of year. But our fourth graders, we had MAP reading for them when they were third graders. So here's a little cohort history. You can see the 3 times that this group of students tested in third grade. This is how their quintiles looked, and here is where they are now, starting off their fourth grade year. So we're seeing the shrinking in the red and orange. Fifth grade students, this is the current year performance as they're beginning their year in reading. But I can look at how they did in reading last year throughout the year, those 3 different intervals, and where they are in the current year. This is our 6th grade reading performance. So we're looking for that smaller orange and red. And then when I look at how this group performed as 5th graders, they were pretty consistent there. But we can see that actually coming into this new year, beginning off 6th grade, we've shrunk a little bit in those colors to the left side. So then we move into math. Same thing, we're looking at more green and blue, the better. We see that in 4th grade as well. For 4th grade, we can look back when this group of students was in 3rd grade. This was their previous year performance. Math does tend to, if you think about the way we do skills in math versus reading, we are that spiraling. We're consistently working on a lot of the same skills, just maybe with a new genre or taking it to a deeper level. Whereas math, it's those new skills introduced throughout the year. So we see that red and orange shrinking. Then we come back for a new year and they're seeing new types of math that they have not seen before. Oh goodness, there's decimals. There are numbers that are smaller than a whole number. So we kind of bump back up and we'll watch that shrink as the year progresses. 5th grade math, here's the current year beginning performance. Here's how they did as 4th graders, and you see kind of that same phenomenon throughout the year. They were shrinking as they spend more time with their math knowledge. And this is how that group is starting for this year compared to last year. And our 6th grade students, here are their beginning of year performance. Here's how they did as 5th graders in math and how they're starting off in 6th grade. So this group, that's kind of a surprising pattern. They've actually have fewer students clustered in that low average and low group than where they left off at the end as 5th graders. So any questions about MAP as we start off our year?
You might have said it and I didn't hear it, but this MAP testing took place when?
I'm sorry, it took place the last week of August. It's a specific week that we give because for the norming, we specifically norm based on weeks of instruction. So it takes a while to get all of the data back and in this order for you.
And that's what I thought. And as I was looking at these, it just felt like yet another indicator to me that the growths that we got last year are translating to this year as well. Are you feeling that same?
Absolutely, and this was more than I put in the report, but you just opened the door, so I'm going to share with you. Because you know that I want to look at the numbers in every possible way. And Dr. Lauren Allen, our academic recovery specialist, who does a lot of the data diving with me, if you ever really want to get in the deepness of our math brains, come join us sometime. But we were looking at all of these norming samples, and I mentioned last year when I first introduced MAP, that if you look at the national norming samples, summer slide is expected. When you look at here's the norm for end of year 3rd grade and the beginning of year 4th grade is lower.
Right.
And the slides are greater in math. We expect more loss in math than reading. And you think about parents know to read and to do all of these things with their students. Usually all they know to do in math is here's some flashcards. So we were joking that we need maybe HEB counts along with our HEB reads. Yeah. But when we looked at what those slides were in the national norms, we found for reading, while they are smaller slides expected in the national norms from 3rd to 4th, 4th to 5th, 5th to 6th, 2 of ours, our 3rd to 4th and our 5th to 6th, actually didn't slide at all. They improved over summer. And our one cohort in reading that slid did not slide as far as the national norm. So we maintained more of that growth. In math, we did see slides, but interestingly, and we're doing a little deeper digging into, it's that same group, the 4th to 5th grade group that are now sitting in 5th grade, had the biggest slide compared to the national norm. But we were beating the national norms everywhere else. So we not only got them where we needed to be at the end of the year, but we helped them maintain it over the summer.
Yeah, that's great.
So I'm still trying to completely understand the whole concept, but I think I get it. But so if you improve compared to the national norms, it doesn't necessarily mean you didn't have any slide. It just means you didn't slide as much as...
That is correct. And I'm talking about like our entire student population for a grade. Of course, there are some students that slid and some that perhaps gained more than others when you look at individual students. But our reading, we did as a whole group show improvement when the national norm was sliding. Our math, we just didn't slide as far as expected. So, Mr. Campos.
So Holly, educate me. As far as the Spanish goes, that means they took the test in Spanish, right?
Yes.
Okay. First off, I just want to say all of these numbers look really good, but I kind of zone in on things that just stick out to me. On 5th grade math and Spanish, I know it's a very tiny group. All of your Spanish slides show the same pattern of positive, except for this one. Granted, it's only 12 students, Is there anything unusual about that, or just?
So fifth grade is the last year that they can test in Spanish. You know, it's the last year of our bilingual program. They will have to test in English by sixth grade. So in general, we are really working with our late exit model for our emerging bilingual students to move them out of Spanish. So most of our students that are still testing in Spanish in fifth grade are likely to be newcomers, maybe have not had as much experience here, and or did not have as much experience in their first language. Spanish was their first language. Maybe they had not had as much schooling in it. So especially at fifth grade, you will see that. The number is small, but they're small because they really are still struggling right there. Any other questions I can answer for you?
Any more questions?
Looks great. I'm very excited for our kids.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Norgard. All right, next item, 10.06, TEA Intruder Detection Audit Report. Mr. Phillips. And just to be clear, Mr. Phillips, because there was some confusion, this is just the report about, just the required report, right? This isn't the overall report about all the schools?
Not the overall report.
Okay, when will we plan on getting that?
In the next month.
Okay.
If it's not the next meeting, it'll be the meeting after.
Okay.
All of those, all of the information it was submitted on September 1st. Part of what we will be presenting at the meeting in 2 weeks when we are looking at the overall budget request for security will include a lot of the information from that.
Okay, thank you.
So tonight, this is just the district-wide intruder detection audit finding. On September 2nd, TEA asked the Texas School Safety Center to conduct audits this year. Random intruder audits is what they are calling them. Every school will be hit and touched by one of these inspectors by the end of the school year. So starting off is a slow kind of roll. As we have these inspectors, we have 20 inspectors in Region 11. The information that was given to us is that they would randomly show up to a school, they would check 3 exterior doors. If they were stopped before they got to their third door, then they would come to the front office. But that 3 is the most that they were going to check. We were informed that once they come to the front office, they will check in, show their identification. They will check our weekly door log audit report that we're doing on our exterior doors. So every school is required now to do weekly door checks. I think I mentioned last time that I taught that we're doing that actually more. We pretty much doing them every day in the schools, but we are keeping a weekly log of every exterior door being checked. And then they are looking at random classroom sampling as they walk through the school during classroom time of whether the doors are secured. One of the first things that they're looking for is, does the district have a closed door, a locked door policy? We at HEB do not have a locked door policy. We have an administrative directive that is how we engage our classrooms. And the difference with that is that because we use the lock block on the door, we have our doors locked and we have the lock block engaged. It's a quick release when we go into lockdown, or if we go into a hold or secure, that the teacher simply just moves the lock block over and the classroom secure. So we were told that we will be given 1 audit in September. We will be having 3 schools audited in October. I expect, talking to some of the other districts, that will just increase, double every month. So I expect we'll have 6, and then in November. They did tell us December will be shorter just because of the Christmas break. But by the end of the school year, all of our schools will be audited at some point by one of the inspectors. So the first audit occurred last week, September 9th or 20th. Viridian Elementary received an audit. The district safety officer, myself, was provided the complete report findings, notified immediately. Dr. Joe and I were informed the week before that we would have an audit coming up. We're not told where or when that occurs. Local police is notified, and Region 11 did choose, which I appreciated, because part of the directive from TEA is if they did find an exterior door opened, that they would go ahead and move as far as they could into the school. Most of us did not find that very safe, just to have a random person enter the school without being identified. Region 11 agreed that they would, if they found an open door, they would simply go to the front of the school and report. So we found no exterior doors open at Viridian. The weekly door checks log was perfect, And then we had one finding on an interior door, which has already been addressed, and that also comes with what part of the findings of what we do are required to do is that we do, if we do have a finding, that we show that we've had it addressed with the staff and additional training. So that is being scheduled, has already been addressed at the campus level. So that is where we are right now. I expect to have more next month since we're going to have 3 audits. So we'll wait till those 3 audits come in and then give those findings. But if anybody has any questions.
Any questions?
I should probably remember this from my safety training, but I just, is there some type of accountability if a district has a certain number of findings over this next year?
They have, right now, the findings go to the TEA, and they are given back to us. They have not told us if there is going to be any type of, there will be a final report ending, but they have not, I think in anything that you and I have looked at, there's not been any specific.
They'll give us, if there's an action item, then we have to then report what we're doing. And they can come back to us and not approve of our plan to remedy the situation. So that's where we would stand. So we will get the information. We will then make a recommendation to remedy that, and we would move forward with that. But they could come back with additional information.
Okay.
All right. Any additional questions? All right.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
All right. Do we have those action items moved? Are they ready?
I was successful with the second one.
Okay, do you need a few minutes? We can take a break.
Yes,
Okay, all right, we're gonna take a 5-minute break and let everything get set up so that we can start action items.
Okay. Do you need to do it at the computer?
All right, Ty, we ready to go? All right, so at this time, we'll be voting on item 9.02, minutes for the August 22nd, 2022 regular board meeting. I'll accept a motion.
Move the board approve the minutes of the August 22nd, 2022 regular board meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the minutes of the August 22nd, 2022 regular board meeting. Please vote. And that motion passes with one abstention. Item 9.03, minutes for the September 12th, 2022 called work session board meeting. I'll accept the motion.
I move that the board approve the minutes of the September 12th, 2022 called work session board meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the minutes of the September 12th, 2022 called work session board meeting. Please vote. And that motion passes with one abstention. All right. We're ready for item 11.02, consent to approval of CSP 22-15 Bel Air Elementary School Replacement Campus.
Good evening, Board. As you know, we've been talking for months about starting the construction on the Bel Air Elementary.
It's a hard word to say.
It is hard for me to say. I get tongue-tied. Rebuild, and we're very excited to take that next step in awarding a contract. We went out to bid. You gave us the approval to go out to bid to do a concealed proposal for that. We received 5 bids came in, 5 very good bids, we thought. And those bids were, in addition to price, which is obviously very important, they were also, we looked at those in regard to timeline, schedule, to the project personnel, to the experience with the project or similar projects, subcontractors used on that will be used in the project, and of course the financial background of each company. And after those graded out, our conclusion of the committee that graded that was that Juris Contractors would be the best value for the district. So that is our recommendation to the board, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions you might have. Or
I have a question, and maybe I'm just not understanding it fully, but on one of the tabs that was added to our packet, it showed like a ranking at the bottom.
Yes.
And it showed Juris 4th, and then on the other tab, it showed Juris 1st. So can you explain the difference between those two, please?
Absolutely. The one tab is, as I said, price. Price was a big piece of the puzzle, and in price, Juris ranked 4th. However, when we graded them out with the other, including price, they came in first. And let me talk about that just a minute. We actually took the 2 highest companies that graded out, which were Juris and Reader Construction, and we brought both of those companies back in because of the price differential, because we wanted to see and get a feel for what they had in their price, what kind of contingencies they may have, how they were prepared in this market, which is very volatile right now with prices and such. And then what we determined, or what we found out is Juris has some contingencies built into their price, which was higher, such as generators, should we not be able to get switch gear, which is over a year lead time right now to be able to get switch gears, to be able to fire up electricity once we get the campus built, and things like that. So, and like I say, so once they grade it out,
Another question.
Juris ranked higher.
like on their alternate number one, why was theirs a minus 5,000, where some of them was a plus 15,600?
Oh, gosh, I may have to get help on that one. Juris is actually here. They can
Oh,
answer some
good.
questions. So,
Yeah, it's for the storm shelter roof, so it just depends on probably who somebody else had numbers from. So the guys that we had, subcontractors, it ended up being a credit for that. I think it's, fully adhered versus mechanically fastened, I believe, just that.
Yeah, it says, provide fully adhered roof over the storm shelter, provide the concrete deck passes moisture testing as specified and shown on the drawings in lieu of mechanically fastened something. Okay.
it gets complicated.
Any other questions?
Dobie, just on the schedule, which I think in many ways they were graded higher on schedule, because if I'm reading the bids correctly, we're looking for a completion in May rather than Reader having a completion in August. Will this allow us to open Bel Air beginning with the new school year?
In 2024, yes. Our actual projected date or planned date is to open it in December of '23, assuming everything lines up just right and everything falls to where we could move into the new school over the Christmas break in December. And then once moved in, then they can go to the next phase, which is demolition of the existing facility, and then start doing all the flat work, drives, all that kind of stuff.
Great.
But in today's market, we're hopeful we can get it done in December, but we're planning for, if necessary, it may be that next August of 2024. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, I know that I was one of the ones who was concerned initially before we put it out to bid exactly how things were weighted and that price may not be weighted heavily enough. But after we got all the weightings, I actually, because right now though, the price was at 40%, and I had recommended changing it to 50%, but we had kind of compromised at 40%. But even if we had reweighted it at what I had recommended back when we discussed it, Juris still came out first. So after I kind of redid that math for myself, I felt real good. Plus, I was invited by the administration to be part of those meetings. So to have Juris, who has built basically the same school for us 4 other times, I feel really good about this bid and really good about this project. So. All right. So.
Yeah. That'll be a plus.
All right, and I will accept the motion.
I move the board award Joris General Contractors LLC the contract for the construction of Bel Air Elementary School replacement campus.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. The board award Juris General Contractors LLC the contract for the construction of Bel Air Elementary School replacement campus. Please vote. And that motion passes.
And I think every time we talk about Bel Air Elementary, it's important to remind everyone that we're building a school outside of what was planned and promised with the last bond, with a combined extra funds from that bond and funds from general fund. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right, and thank you, everybody. We will look at 11.03, consider approval of out-of-state, out-of-country student travel. If anyone have any questions? I'll accept the motion.
I move that the board approve the out-of-state, out-of-country travel as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for the board to approve the out-of-state, out-of-country travel, student travel as presented. Please vote. And that motion passes. We're ready for open forum number 2. No cards for open forum number 2. All right. Other business, opportunity for board members to request items be placed on future board agendas. Anybody have anything? All right. 13.02, consider approval of North Texas Area Association School Board's 2022-2023 membership renewal. Anybody want to speak to this?
This is an organization that meets 4 times a year in different districts, different school districts within regions 10 and 11. And this membership includes attendance at those meetings.
All right. Any questions? I'll accept a motion.
I move that the board approves the renewal membership of North Texas Area Association of School Boards for the 2022-2023.
Second.
I have a motion and a second that the board approve the renewal membership of the North Texas Association of School Boards for the 2022-2023 school year. And that motion passes. All right, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.
Not missing much football at all.
Yeah.